Today, I review an Extreme Tools RX Series 19 drawer toolbox. But first, I show you how to attach a full side cabinet to the box, and then we do the review. But stick around after that for some cool bonus footage. Hey, Lindsay. Yeah? How long have you been making YouTube videos? Oh, I don't know, a little over a year and a half. Really? You think at this point, you'd up the production value a little bit. Maybe get out of your gross garage. Maybe get some decent lighting and a better camera with a nicer microphone. Why? I thought doing it this way was all part of the charm. No, it's not. Huh, thanks for the feedback. You're welcome. So, we're stuck in my crappy garage, surrounded by junk, as I try to put this thing together. Bear with me, we gotta climb underneath and look at something that's really dark to see how they want this done. Because when you mount this side cabinet to the box, they give you this plate to put under there. And I think I learned something from the last time I did this. I think if I put this plate on first, then I can rest the cabinet on the plate to give myself a better way to line everything up. The last time I did it, it was kind of a struggle because I wasn't thinking the right way. In fact, I don't think I realized I had to put a plate on there till after I mounted the cabinet. This way, if we do the plate first, I think we just get it up there and then support the bottom from the other side using a floor jack, and then just bolt it right to the side of the box. Let's find out if that's correct. All right, so follow along with me. We have this plate. It's got a lip on one side and the two mounting holes. These mounting holes, we're going underneath here, go over these threaded holes here and another one here. So this plate mounts up like that, and you can see how the lip here hangs out with a gap that accepts the width of the side of the cabinet. This lip here sets underneath the edge here, and there's enough clearance between the bottom of this and the bottom of the cabinet itself to accept that lip. I just tested it out myself. I can't do it here with one hand holding the camera on one. So what I'm going to do is mount this up here first, and then it'll mount like that. Then I'll be able to put the cabinet up on that lip, and then as I bring it up, I can mount the other end of the support the other end of the cabinet with my floor jack, and that should be pretty easy. I should be able to do that by myself. Fingers crossed. All right, we're going to leave that nice and loose just to make sure we don't sell ourselves short with that gap that's got to be there to accept the side of the cabinet. And that's got plenty of thread in the bolt, so that's not going anywhere, but it will support the cabinet, and then once we get it where we want it to be, we'll just go back underneath and tighten that up. The way the cabinet bolts to the box is on these threaded holes here. There's two on the top, and this fella here and this guy here are on the bottom. If there were a hutch on this box, then there'd be two holes at the top of the hutch, which would correspond to these two holes here. As it is, the holes on the box correspond with this hole, this one, and that one. I finally came to admit that I'm probably not best at doing this by myself, so Zach's here to help. And you know him from the Sunx Toolcart assembly video that you can watch by clicking up there. So what we're going to do is lift one
liftgate video.
Oh, and the liftgate video. That was, first of all, a very good video. Don't sell yourself short.
Entertaining, perhaps, and that's being generous. It was the first one, though.
There was a lot of editing in that video, as I recall.
There needed to be a lot of editing in that video.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, there needed to be.
All right, so we're going to just tilt this thing back on the dolly, and then we're going to rest this end up on the bracket here, which has some play in it because I left the screws loose. And then we're going to support the end with the floor jack and bolt it into place. What could possibly go wrong?
Absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
Does it need to come back more?
No, you're good. Just keep it coming. And I think we just engaged the brackets.
The lip.
I think we did. Now let me just make sure. Bring it this way a little bit.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think we're
I think we're lined up.
okay. Pretty much. But
Boom! What are the odds of it not working?
I mean, 50. Okay.
Is that grabbing? No, it's not grabbing.
Something's pushing, but it's not. We're just scratching it, I think.
Well, we know we win if that hole is lined up.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, that one there.
It is close.
Yeah, it looks pretty close.
Enough. Close enough.
Then you can grab that driver up there. And...
I mean, if nothing else, we'll just cross thread it. It's better than Loctite. So why are there 8? Oh,
There's 6 because if you put the Hutch on it, you're gonna need 2 for the Hutch.
I see, but not so much.
Well, they're not
A bird brand. All right. Release the jack. The cabinet will fall. Everything will be great.
Or it could be like in the cartoons. We release the jack, the entire floor falls, leaving the box just suspended in midair.
I would love for that to be what.
The specs on this are pretty typical of most medium-duty boxes. The tool chest is 72 inches wide. With the side cabinet, the entire assembly is 91 inches wide. It's 48 inches tall, with the stainless steel top, which adds an extra inch from the standard 47-inch height. And it's 25 inches deep. Each pair of drawer slides supports 150 pounds. So on drawers like this that double up the drawer slides and have 4 individual slides, the capacity is 300 pounds. And every deep drawer on this box has double slides. So 6 of the drawers support 300 pounds, and the others are rated at 150. The extra deep drawers on the bottom are 11 inches deep on the left and right lower corners, and the other deep drawers are 5 inches deep. The top 3 drawers span the 2 left banks. And the other drawers are all 1 bank wide. Extreme has some patented features that they put on all their boxes and their carts. The most impressive of which is their drawer latching system. If you notice, this is all metal construction here, and the latch sets into keyways in the drawer pull, and they're spring-loaded and hinged, so that every time you close a drawer, it positively latches, and all you have to do is pull in the drawer pull like you normally would. It lowers and disengages the latch. And that's nicer construction than what you'll even find on the Snap-on Epic Series boxes. They use a similar type of latch, but what that is, it's just a small outer piece with that latch that screws onto the drawer pull, and that screw can come loose and the latches can get a little wobbly or wonky over time. These are keyed in there. They're not going anywhere. It's a very strong design. Another great feature is that every drawer in these boxes is a full extension drawer. So the back of the drawer comes out to be flush with the front of the box. Every well-constructed box and cart has that feature. And the reason why you want that is because, especially on your shallow drawers, as you lay your tools in here, what's going to happen is the smaller, rounder, flatter tools like extensions and wrenches and screwdrivers will somehow work their way toward the back of the drawer. And when they do, if you had a drawer that is not full extension, and say the back of the drawer comes out 2 or 3 inches shy of the front of the box, it's going to be difficult to, number one, see the tools that are back there. And if you did see them, you'd have to reach them, and to be reaching around and over other tools to try to dig them out. To have a full extension drawer means you have a clear sight line to every dimension in the drawer and easy access to all the tools in there. And that saves you time. And when you're wasting time in this business, you're wasting money. So the more efficient you can be, the more money you're making. This stainless steel top is an option, and it comes covered in this white shipping film. You just tear this off and you're exposing the stainless steel beneath. And my customer who ordered this setup also ordered the side cabinet. The side cabinet has 3 shelves, the 2 bottom ones of which are adjustable, and 3 drawers. The bottom one being a deep 5-inch drawer with a 300-pound capacity, and the 2 2-inch drawers are at the 150-pound capacity. Because this box has 3 wide drawers, supporting the bottom of these drawers is an issue when you load it full of tools. So like every other good toolbox on the market, they have supporting channels that run underneath the drawer to support the extra weight. This channel here, and the other one here, and you can see that the other 2 drawers that are the same width also have that feature. Those channels prevent sagging on the box and allow it to support that extra weight along with the additional drawer slides. Now let's take a look underneath. The unit is supported by 6 heavy-duty casters, 4 of which are swiveling, the 2 on the end and the 2 in the middle. All have a heavy-duty brake. The casters are mounted to heavy channels that run the entire width of the box and the length. So the whole box is framed out on all sides. One additional feature that you don't see on all boxes is that the framing members extend below the siding of the box. And this is important because it means you can forklift this box if you had to. Some boxes have the siding that comes down and extends below the bottom of the frame. So if you were to try to use a forklift on it, you would bend the sheet metal on the outside of the box. The casters have grease zerks for lubrication and are made out of one solid piece instead of wound material that can come uncorded as the casters wear on other boxes. Running the length of the top of the box is a heavy-duty support channel that prevents the top from sagging. Both the chest and the cabinet come keyed with tubular locks. And if you were to get the Hutch option with this, it will come keyed the same. Now the Hutch is something that can be added after the fact. If you want, this customer here who bought this opted to get the side cabinet and bottom chest now with the stainless top and intends to add a Hutch later on. The Hutch does not come as one assembled unit. It has to be assembled on the box. So the thing I talked to him about doing was understand that when the time comes to assemble the Hutch, you must unbolt the side cabinet in order to assemble the Hutch by removing the end caps here. This is more than a trim piece. This is an integral part of how the Hutch fits to the box. So once you remove these pieces, this is an open square channel. And the two sides of the Hutch have a post in front that slides down into this channel, and then the side rests here. The other side rests on this end, obviously, and then you assemble the back panel to that and then put the lid on afterwards. And the reason you have to take the side cabinet off is because this hole here and this hole here match up to mounting holes on the top side of the Hutch. So you'd have to take that off in order to get access to where you're putting the side panel and fastening that and the lid onto the Hutch, because as you put the lid on, there's pivot pins they have to insert through the outside of the Hutch. So with this here, it's in the way and you can't put your lid pivot pins in. So he understands that, and it's not a big deal to remove that side cabinet. I just wanted to make sure that he had full disclosure as he planned for his purchase today and what he was looking to do with it in the future. The one thing I like to do with toolbox videos is make recommendations as to which customer demographic a particular box is best suited for, or to which box a particular demographic is suited. The customer who purchased this box is a fairly young guy, but he's been in the business for a few years. He's already exhausted the space that he has in his current toolbox and is looking to upgrade and getting to something bigger and, quite frankly, much nicer. He works in a high-end shop that works on a lot of custom projects and long-term work. So he likes something that's nice, looks a little classy, fits the environment in the shop, and gives him far more drawer space than what he currently has. For the price of the extreme configuration that he has here, he's getting a better deal than what he would get on the franchise tool trucks, because the cost on this setup is much, much lower. I don't know how much you'd expect to pay on the Snap-on truck, for example, on this box, but I know these bottom boxes list for about $12,000, and I think those side cabinets, if I'm not mistaken, are around $3,000 or $4,000, and probably another $1,000 at least for this stainless top. This whole configuration, as it is today, I can reach out to him for about $6,000. So for technicians who are committed to their career and know that it's what they're going to want to do for years to come, an option like this is outstanding if you want to get out of your starter box into something bigger, nicer, and a little heavier duty. Now, Extreme does have heavier duty options than this that have drawer capacities up to 500 pounds with steel as thick as 11 gauge on the bodies. It's a really nice configuration in their whole lineup, and I'm sure there's something in there that would suit just about everybody regardless of where you are in your career, because even their lower tier boxes are excellent values. They come in a lot of different colors too. This box is glossy black with red anodized pulls. They also have black with chrome, green with black, orange with black, black with anodized blue pulls, and black on black. So there's plenty of choices regardless of what your color preference is. Now in the future, we're going to be doing some additional videos on another box like this, but it's a 55-inch wide model. We're going to be doing some upgrades and work on our tool truck, so you won't want to miss that. And we're also going to be doing a tool haul review that goes over a bunch of stuff we bought at a virtual tool show last week. So do me a favor, click down here to subscribe so that you don't miss any of it. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, use a tool. Don't be one.
What, pray tell, is this particular...
That hung down in front of the drawer pulls so that if they slid out during transit, they would not have scratched the front of the box.
Do you want it still there for...
Might as well.
I guess,
yeah. Just
I was
while the thing's in the truck. And
yeah. I was thinking it was for a drawer. I was like, oh, well,
no, just like, I mean, it was...
Fit any of these, obviously. So.
The way they... Well, you know the way they packed it because being the manufacturer of the, I guess now former Monster toolboxes, they packed it the same way. It's impressive the way they pack it. They crate these up very nicely.
Yeah.
And in fact, I got to give a shout out to the freight guy who helped me because unlike every other freight person, this is you, UPS. Not only did it arrive upright and undamaged, after he offloaded it from the truck and brought it up the driveway, he stuck around to help me open the crate to inspect it before I signed for it and he left. So I was pretty impressed with his willingness and desire to make sure that everything was right front to back. And that was Saya.
I was about to ask that question.
Yeah, no, those guys are top notch. Every time they've delivered something to us, we get the same guy, number one, so there's some consistency. And number two, he always does that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's more than you can ask of any other freight company.
Right. Well, and the fact that you see the same guy, I mean, not seeing him doesn't necessarily mean anything, but the fact that you do says that I would assume, like, employee retention is something that they're, you know, like you're seeing the same, I mean, for a couple of years now. Right.
And he remembers us every time. We don't get freight deliveries every day. And unfortunately, we don't get Saya for every delivery that we do get. But when we do, he remembers us and he likes us and he wants to help us out. So I'm assuming he does that for everybody.
Yeah.
But if he does, I mean, it's just a nice... that's just good customer service.
Absolutely, yeah. No, that's fantastic. That's nice to find. You know, you build those relationships with people, and it's invaluable. You know, you keep dealing with the same people when you can have that level of trust.
And it bugs me that we can't specify them for all of our freight shipments because the shippers just have contracts with different companies, and what you get is what you get. And I don't like the fact that we can't specify the carriers that we know to be really good, like say Southeastern has been pretty good too, but we hardly get those guys. But the Saya guy's been fantastic.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you know, and like anything else, I mean, some of the UPS freight guys, or at least the ones I've dealt with, have been great too. You know, you say like, "Hey, this thing's damaged, we can't take it, or you won't let us inspect." They get it. You know, they're bound by whatever their rules are, so they're just like, "Hey, I understand. You know, we're not allowed to do it, but I don't blame you for not taking the ship."
Yeah.
So it's not their fault. It's just
no. I mean, sometimes it is. The last UPS freight delivery we got, it was clearly their fault because when I went around back to accept the delivery, and the delivery was a Monster branded toolbox just like this Extreme one, it had tipped over in the truck and was on its side, and unfortunately the crate and the contents were destroyed, as well as the hutch that came with it. And as I went around the back of the truck, I saw the driver in there, and he had a pretty sheepish look on his face when he saw me coming around. He goes, "Man, I dropped it and knocked it over." I'm like, "Nope, got to refuse it." He's like, "No, I get it."
Yeah,
so
but that's what I mean. Like the driver, you know, it happens. And what you mean the first time they tried to deliver that box, because they subsequently tried to deliver it 2 other times.
They did. So we refused this damaged shipment of this toolbox and hutch. We sent it on back, and they tried on 2 occasions this year. I think it was the following week and the week following that. They tried to deliver it twice more. I'm like, "No, we refuse this. It's damaged." And you saw it that one time, right? Yeah. I mean, it was clearly...
The third time, yeah. And I don't know about the second one, but the third time it was a different freight delivery driver. And he wasn't aware. And as we get on the truck, it's the last thing on his truck. And And I was like, yeah, man, they tried to deliver this, or they tried to deliver one before and it was damaged. And I got on, I was like, he's like, yeah, I was just about to say, like, what? He's like, I didn't know if they were trying to give you one that. And I said, yeah, we refused it. And he's like, yeah, somebody didn't tell the driver supervisor that. He's like, I'm going to mark it on the bill of lading that it's refused to make sure it doesn't come back to you again. So, well, according to him, whoever's job it was to make sure didn't do their job. And he's like, hey, I'm sorry. I'm like, it's not your fault, man.
He's just doing his soul.
You didn't load the truck. You weren't told. You were just told to come here. With this, sorry you wasted your time.
Crate with a hole in it.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing was like, it wasn't like, is it maybe a little scratched? I mean, it was bashed in. Everything that came in that shipment was destroyed. The hutch was damaged.
Yeah.
It was bad. It was not. They would like, we'll sell it to you at a scratch and dent price. Like, this is not a functional unit anymore.
Yeah, and that's really the rub of it is that, and with those monster boxes, what I found after I refused that original shipment, I went to talk to my sales rep, and I found that the Monster brand box had been discontinued. So I didn't have a choice. I couldn't reorder one. They would not send me an equivalent Extreme box at that price, even though Extreme is the one that manufactures that box. So I was kind of up a creek. Luckily, my customers understood, and I was able to still do some deals with Extreme branded boxes at the Extreme price. I was able to do a bit of a discount to try to make up for it, but everyone understood, and luckily that came out in the wash okay. Yeah. So at the end of it all, no harm, no foul, but it took a number of months to work through that and to have customers kind of rethink, what their stance was on it. And I think guys wound up liking the pricing enough, even with the Extreme box, which is still less expensive than the franchise tool trucks, but that they were able to make the deals go through. It just took some patience to let guys kind of think that one through, but once they did, it was all right.
Well, and the big thing out of all that was that it was disappointing that a vendor that we have that kind of relationship with, that we do that much business with, wouldn't, at least in that one instance where the customer had already been sold the box at that price, that they wouldn't meet us halfway. Future deals, you want to say, well, hey, this is the cost of that, fine, but you're not going to eat, what's to them a small.
Right.
That to a company that size, to eat something that small for a customer who spends
hundreds of thousands
of dollars, that's not a,
right.
And then, but then to see other companies bend over backwards for stuff like that, it just, it sours that, it makes you start looking other places to do business.
It does. And, you're going to use that too as an example when you do talk to other vendors to say, hey, we had this situation happen. What would you do in a situation like that? And see how they respond to it.
Sure.
Of course, you never know until they actually are up against it. But if they at least can give you a better answer than the one you got, at least that's something to go on. And maybe it's worth trying another vendor for a period with at least with a limited run on some products.
Agreed. And you're right. You don't know until you're in the moment what they're going to do. But a lot of times you can tell by the way they respond. If you get the kind of like middle management shine on, like, we're going to use a bunch of buzzwords and like not actually the politician answer, then you go, okay, we're going to get screwed over, just like the last time. But if somebody says, hey, we're in the business of customer service. We're gonna do whatever we can to make any situation right. You can't ask for more than them doing whatever's in their power to try and help. And if their hands are truly tied in a situation, so be it. But for all the other times when something can be, there's a difference between we're not in a position to help and we don't want to. That's what that one felt like.
That absolutely felt.
We're
like
asking you to do this one time for something that it's not your fault, but you have enough of a relationship with the shipper,
right,
to demand that they reimburse you for the lost inventory. So you're going to tell me that out of that you can't come up with.
Well, I mean, that's the great point. It's not like they're gonna get their cost on that box back from UPS because they're going to honor the claim, I'm assuming,
Right. They do too much business with them to lose that.
Right. Because they've got the shipping contract. So, yeah, to your point, you can't take part of the money that you got in the claim for the box and apply it to a different box just to make it right by us and by our customer. I mean, that's just...
Yeah.
you know.
Because the reality was, even on the retail side, the cost between the Monster and the Extreme isn't huge.
No, but it was significant enough
But
that you wouldn't expect a customer to eat that.
no, but
You know?
that's my point is
Yeah.
that it's not even huge on the customer side, but it's enough to make you go like that. So if it's not huge on the customer side, when you take it all the way down to the supplier side
Yeah.
and the prices they're paying, you know, what are you eating? A couple $100 at the most?
Right.
Like them. I mean,
Yeah.
to be able to
salvage a deal.
I don't believe they're eating, especially since they are such a big company. They have their own brand that this company manufactures for them. Like if you are able to have your own brand, that means you're buying enough of something that they're making you a smoking deal on it.
No doubt.
So I don't buy that you couldn't, and you already have, and it's the same company that these boxes are. So you got that relationship with Extreme. You're telling me you can't lean on them a little bit and get I don't buy that. You just won't, and
no, I think you're absolutely right about that, because the Extreme built the Monster brand boxes, and they also sell their own branded line through them. So they got a lot of toolboxes coming from Extreme. And they must have significant enough buying power, especially because when they negotiated a deal with the Monster boxes, part of the incentive that Extreme had was Extreme wasn't going to have to warehouse the boxes. They were just going to build them and ship them, because our supply was going to warehouse them stateside. And that was part of the incentive for Extreme to do it for the price they did. And obviously it was worth it to them. I wouldn't have done it.
Right.
And it allowed us to sell these things at a significantly lower cost than what you would get either with the Extreme brand or from any of the franchise trucks. So you got to think that there was enough margin built in there for everybody who was involved.
I think so.
To eat whatever few $100s it was going to cost.
Yeah.
And it was only a few $100s. It wasn't like, I think it was $800. I think was the difference. So you can't eat that just to maintain a good customer relationship and keep a $6,000 sale going.
Yeah.
I mean, this didn't make any sense.
Yeah, and $800 once, not $800 every time we sell it. Just on the sale
Just
that was
a
already
one-time,
promised.
right?
Just a one-time deal. Like that I don't buy that. I don't buy that when other companies will send brand new shipments of pins for free based off of an error that wasn't even totally their fault, or maybe even not.
Well, no, in fact, because I mentioned that one of my other videos was both Zach and I get stuff done from 4 Imprint. And if there's a mistake, they will make it right.
Yeah.
And they'll eat the cost. I mean, they ate the cost of a whole batch of screwdrivers for me. They had to eat the cost of a batch of pens for Zach.
Yeah, which was partially, I mean, they sent me the proof. There was a spelling error that I didn't catch. And it says on their emails, you know, check spelling, check all of that. And I just glossed over it, missed it, didn't catch it till I got them. You know, contacted them, not looking for free, just like, hey, I want to fix this for the next round. And also, is it possible for me to send these back and have them fixed, you know, expecting to be billed for it? And they were like, hey, really sorry that happened. We'll redo it, you know, comp you. They told me to keep what I had and, you know, donate them or do whatever. And I was going to keep doing business with them anyway, but that's well above and beyond. It was the first time I'd ever ordered from them. If they had said, sorry, you approved the proof, I'd have said, well, that's fair. You know, no hard feelings. I mean, that's not an unreasonable expectation.
Right.
They got, you know, a business to run also. But they did that for someone who had not spent hundreds of thousands of dollars with them. So, you know, shout out to 4 Imprint for sure. If you need pins, merchandise, stuff for your business, they're great pricing, and their customer service people, my experience with them has been so far, they are on top of that response. I mean, I emailed, got a response first thing the next morning.
Yep.
Everybody was right on top of it. So, you know, yeah.
And if one company can do it, God knows every other company can do it. So it's a question of whether or not they want to or have it even, you know, within their internal processes, because part of the problem is once the company gets big enough, then communications break down internally. People stop caring as much, and the next thing you know, what seems perfectly reasonable becomes an impossible task in a bigger company.